Hi, friends. Miss Dash back here in the library. Today is Dress Like Your Favorite Character Day for our Reading Spirit Week. So I am Wu Shan from Iron Widow. Got the Chinese makeup, all that good stuff. And I am so excited to read this book to you. Kind of reminds me of Iron Widow a bit because it's about a Chinese woman who absolutely kicks butt. Like, I cannot wait to show you. It's been one of my favorites for a long time. So let's get started. It's called Beautiful Warrior, The Legend of the Nuns Kung Fu. Ooh. Let's take a look. Very beautiful. Looks like a monk looking at the mountains. Ooh, a royal palace. It says Beautiful Warrior, The Legend of the Nuns Kung Fu once more. That's actually a really famous palace. Okay. Oh, and all the attendants in the palace, the women of the palace. Okay, here we go. Long ago, in the reign of the last Ming emperor, a baby girl was born in the Forbidden City. Following Chinese custom, her parents watched for signs of her true nature before they chose a name. Something in the steady gaze of her brown eyes struck deep in her father's heart. "We will call her Xingyang, quiet courage," he announced. The infant seemed to him marked to follow an exceptional path in life and would need the tools to find it. Girls born at court were sent to the ladies in waiting to learn their precious ways, have their feet bound, and pursue idle pastimes, never leaving the palace walls. "I refuse to do that to Jiang," her father declared. Instead, he sent her to the tutors as if she were a son. She studied the 5 pillars of learning: art, literature, music, medicine, and martial arts. Xingyang was a prodigy, excelling especially at martial arts. Kung Fu taught her to use her qi, or vital energy. With qi, softness could prevail over hardness, a yielding force to master a brute one. In Kung Fu contests, Xingyang proved that a slight girl could defeat a brawny youth. "Who will want to marry an educated woman?" Xingyang's mother wailed, "and one adept at Kung Fu, too." "She will find her own path," her father said. One day, when Xingyang was riding in the western mountains, Manchu warriors swept down from over the northern border and conquered the Forbidden City. The Ming dynasty was ended. China's new rulers had separated her from her parents and ended the life Xingyang had known. From now on, she would have to make her own way. Afraid and grieving, she took deep breaths to allow her qi to flow freely through her body. This helped her to concentrate, and she thought of the Shaolin Monastery, where Buddhist monks had practiced Kung Fu for 1,000 years. Xingyang set off on the path to Shaolin. "I wish to continue my studies with you," Xingyang had told the monks. "I practice Kung Fu as you do." She tried to keep her mind from filling with worry. Would the monks accept a girl? "Let me show you," she cried. Finally, a monk stepped forward to challenge her. Xingyang defeated him. The monks were stunned. "Join us," said the abbot. So Xingyang was given the name Wu Mei, meaning beautiful warrior. She shaved her head and became a Buddhist nun. When Shaolin monks begged in the villages, they talked about the nun whose calm concentration never left her. Young men came to Shaolin to study with her, and she taught them if they were sincere and didn't just want to beat somebody up. I probably want to beat someone up. At the foot of Mount Song lay a village where the Wang family eked out a living selling bean curd. One day, the local magistrate ordered a cartload of bean cakes for a banquet, and young Mingji Wang delivered them. The magistrate paid her, and she started for home, singing because she had never held such a fat purse. Without warning, 2 men jumped out from behind a wall. One held a knife to her throat. Hand over the money, he snarled. Mingji Wang clutched at the purse. She frantically looked for help, but there was only a tiny nun at the end of the street. Weeping, she held out her treasure. Suddenly, a great wind sucked at them. The nun was drawing a breath. Her body seemed to swell until she towered over the thieves. Her hands sliced the air like knives. Her feet pounded the ground like thunder. The thieves went flying head over heels. Then the nun seemed to shrink to her original size. Get yourself home, she said to the bean curd seller, and be careful. Who are you? Minji gasped. I am Wu Mei from Shaolin, said the nun and hurried away. So the Wang saved the magistrate's money from for Mingji's dowry. Life was uneventful until the day a hairy brigand rode into town with his gang. He bought a bean curd cake from Mingji. Pretty girl, he shouted, you'll make me a fine wife. I will not, said Mingji. I am Sung Ling. Give me your daughter or my gang will break up your shop, he said to Mingji's father. Marry him, her terrified father cried, or he'll ruin us. Mingyi cried for hours. When she ran out of tears, she suddenly remembered Wu Mei. The little nun could trounce Su Ling and so that he'd never bother her again. Mingyi left a note for her parents telling them not to worry and went to the Shaolin temple. As she approached, the monastery bell pealed in the high thin air. In a courtyard, the nun sat like a stone under a tree. Mingyi blurted out her story. Wu Mei raised her hand. Calm your mind, she said. No problem can be solved by a drunken monkey. Mingyi went on babbling. I've already solved it, she insisted. You just give Sung Ling a good drubbing. I fight only to save lives, Wu Mei said. Mingyi sank to the ground and howled, my life is wrecked if I have to marry that thug. You must save yourself, Wu Mei said. Something about the innocence of this scatterbrained girl touched Wu Mei. Could the bean curd seller learn to be calm, to concentrate and use her ki? Could she find her own way if she was given the tools? It would be a challenge to try to teach her. Do this, Wu Mei said. Tell Sung Ling that he must win you. Tell him you will marry him if he can best you at Kung Fu. What? I don't know Kung Fu. Besides, he's huge. He would smash me like a bean curd cake. Wu Mei laughed. It is not force that prevails, but inner strength. Kung Fu takes a lifetime to learn, but this is an emergency, so I will give you a crash course. It will take a year. Postpone the wedding. Mingyi was very disappointed. She had come all this way so full of hope, only to be given a crazy plan. But what choice was there? She went home and told Sung Ling, who thought it was hilarious. So did all of his goons. Why not wait a year? What can I lose? He crowed. Mingyi left her parents and returned to the Shaolin temple where the lessons began. Wu Mei led her pupil to a pool of water. Make your mind perfectly calm like this pool, she instructed. Thoughts are ripples that only disturb it. Mingyi leaned over the pool. Floating there was her own puzzled face. Waterfalls. The nun took her to a rushing stream. Wu Mei said, water finds the path of least resistance. Nothing is softer than water, yet it wears away the hardest rock. That is so, said Mingyi, but what use is it to me? Now, look at the bamboo, Wu Mei went on. When the wind blows, bamboo bends but does not break. When the wind changes, it snaps back like a whip. Mingyi said, hadn't I better learn to fight? You are learning now, said Wu Mei serenely. Wu Mei led Mingyi back to a clearing. Watch, said Wu Mei. The stately crane never loses its balance. It moves quickly and pecks at the snake. The snake coils and slithers out of reach, then wraps itself around the crane's legs. Each creature makes use of its body's natural strengths. Wu Mei took Mingyi to another courtyard where 5 wooden posts were stuck in the earth. My plum poles teach balance and quick reflexes. Ming Yi climbed up onto the poles and tried to jump from one to the other. It was impossible. If this is what I must do to fight Sung Ling, I give up now, she cried. Stay, said Wu Mei. Staying on the poles took so much concentration, Ming Yi forgot to complain. After a few weeks, she was sure-footed and able to wave back and forth. Ming Yi knew that she was so nimble, Sung Ling would find it hard to land a blow. When the nun asked, "What have you learned?" Ming Yi answered, "To make my feet like roots and my body like a vine. Find the course of least resistance. Soft overcomes hard." Now you must become perfectly calm. Concentrate on nothing, said Wu Mei. This takes discipline. Meditation teaches it. Do not try to run on poles at home, okay? Will not make you a kung fu master. Just get me in trouble. Wu Mei made Ming Yi sit without moving a muscle. She wasn't even allowed to flick a fly off her nose. Whenever Ming Yi twitched, Wu Mei rapped her lightly with a stick, and Ming Yi renewed her concentration on nothing. Meanwhile, Su Ling was dying of curiosity. He had heard that Ming Yi was at the temple practicing with a woman. He had to see for himself. He climbed up the wall and peered over. There was his bride-to-be sitting like a turtle while a nun poked her with a stick. He went away chortling. Women were so foolish. After a few hours, Wu Mei said, "Good. If you remain calm, you will know your opponent's intentions even before he does. Use his own force to defeat him." As Ming Yi meditated and practiced Kung Fu, she became ever more calm and sturdy. She began to feel that nothing could upset her. She had stopped being impatient and simply met the challenges of each day. The world outside Shaolin Temple no longer concerned her. She forgot all about having to defeat Su Ling in order to win her freedom. She was already free. One morning, she greeted Wu Mei as usual. "Let's get to work, master." "No," said Wu Mei, "the time has come." Ming Yi looked puzzled. "The year is over." "Oh," Ming Yi protested, "am I ready, master?" "You are ready," said the nun. "It's up to you now." Ming Yi nodded. "You have trained well. Your ki is good. You need not overpower him, only show that he has no power over you," said Wu Mei. Together, they returned to Ming Yi's village. Celebration was in the air. Su Ling and his band of ruffians swaggered about. A wedding feast with fireworks was already prepared and waiting. "Concentrate, flow like water, yield like bamboo," Wu Mei whispered before slipping into the crowd. The contestants faced off. Su Ling let out a huge grunt. He lifted his fists and circled Ming Yi. You're so tiny, I could crush you like a bean cake." Ming Yi emptied her mind and concentrated. She could feel her ki flow freely. She could sense what Su Ling was about to do. He lunged for her, fists punching. She leapt nimbly out of reach and resumed her stance. He attacked again, but Ming Yi flowed like water. He swung his arm and she bent like bamboo. Then she snapped back, knocking Sung Lee off his feet. Again and again, the bully attacked, throwing all of his might at the little bean curd seller. But each time she anticipated him. Finally, his own brute force exhausted him. Ming Yi gathered her ki with such powerful concentration that she lifted Sung Ling over her head and tossed him to the ground. Sung Ling's henchmen gasped, "Whoa!" "Never mind," Sung Ling sputtered, struggling to his feet. "I'll find myself another wife." Oh, there he is on the ground. His hat looks funny. Oh, and there's the nun. Oh, I love the traditional Chinese kid hairstyles. They're so cute. Ming Yi's parents embraced her. "Oh, this is the superior Kung Fu daughter," they said. "But now we have to find you another husband. It won't be easy." "I don't want to get married," said Ming Yi. "I'm going to devote myself to Kung Fu." She bowed to Wu Mei. Wu Mei smiled. "Kung Fu is the work of mastering the self and finding harmony with the universe," she reminded her pupil. "It is the effort of a lifetime." "That is the way for me," said Ming Yi. And so it was. Aw. Oh, they're walking off back to the monastery together. To be honest, I kind of ship them, right? And that's the end of our book. Let me just switch the webcam. Okay, that is the end of Beautiful Warrior. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.